How you guys doing? Excuse me. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Yeah, so we finally got a new tool. It's an old Craftsman wood lathe, but we're gonna be able to forge and make these handles. We'll make the handles and forge wood turning tool bits, chisels, and other stuff now. So yeah. Actually, I'll bring you guys over here. That way, you flipped around soon. Maybe. Still figuring out the camera work. So we got our wood lathe. How you guys doing? So the great thing about this now, so this is a Sears Craftsman wood lathe. We got the chuck thing here. So now here at the Agenda Forge, besides forging decorative and functional ironwork, yeah, I'm going to be trying to make, this is my first time, so I've done some wood turning before, but now I finally have my own lathe. I had that other old lathe, but it didn't have the chuck and stuff. But we're going to be, I'm also going to be forging metal wands too, so that'll be ready for Christmas gifts and stuff. I'll be able to do some like funky twists like that. It'll be cool. Like if let me find. Okay, the shop is too much of a mess. The wood lathe is not going to be in the garage because that's where we do the forging and the metalworking. We got to clean up the old Connex box, but right now we're having some fun. We got the shop back, and we'll be cleaning. But I'm really excited because I'll be able to actually make some wood turning tools, hand chisels, and other stuff. And I got a moment foot switch, so that way if there's any issues, you just take your foot off, you step back. So that's a great thing to see as Craftsman is that it has a switch in it, and even though the motor is separate, I'm just using the when moment foot switch that I use for the portable bandsaw. I will be doing a review on that because that's one of the best tools you can get for a beginner blacksmith and knife maker, because you can use it to cut metal and cut through some wood and handle material. But right now I'm going to make it so that the wands, I'm going to try and make 2 wands. So right here, right where this groove is, roughly in the middle, the 2 wands. So out of this one piece of wood, I'm hoping to get 2 wands. We have extra bits on the side, so you can see where we have it chucked in here. And back here, we have extra material, so that way we can work towards the fat ends, where there's the most amount of material needed to be removed, and then we're going to work our way towards the center, because as you make the material smaller and thinner, it's going to get weaker. So you want to start with the heavy duty wood removal at the thickest point, and then slowly bring it towards here. So we're going to work on that. And do not do this in your, sorry, I got wedgies. Do not do this in your garage shop, because consistently, because you don't want wood dust and shavings everywhere. I will be clean. Me and my dad will be cleaning this tomorrow, but right now we're just using a rounded gouge. This thing is great because you have a nice little bit of a radius, and I gotta interview this old guy Keith. He's awesome. He helped me get into wood turning, and he's got the old man shake, so he said this is a better tool for if you get a little bit of the shakes or whatever. But I'm not an expert, but I am very much a tactile person. I learn stuff very easily. This is almost fully rounded. Once we get this fully rounded here, we're going to slide this over, and that way we'll be able to work this. And then once you get both sides rounded, then we'll be able to work each piece separately. But I just want to get each side fully rounded so we don't have these flat spots right here. And I am working with Cherry right now. The guy I bought this lathe from, cool guy. He tried working, it wasn't for him, and that's the biggest thing I try to talk about with you guys here on the channel. You don't have to do blacksmithing or metalworking. Whatever you can make, doesn't have to make music, video games, art, other stuff. Just make something, because there's too much cheap, soulless crap in the world, and putting your time and effort, especially if you have anxiety. I've been through a lot of stuff, you know, lost my mom to suicide. I had a life-changing heart thing when I was 17. Board blacksmithing helped save me from my sorrows and stuff. Making things helps your body focus on something else other than what you've been through. So it doesn't have to be blacksmithing or wood turning. Just go and make something. Read, you know, it helps. Write a book, all the stuff. You know, the main thing is make something, add something to the world instead of consuming, instead of watching. You know, watch stuff and then try to make stuff. It helps a lot. So that's why it's DG Undead Forge, because I survived a thing that should have killed me, and also when my mom passed away, part of me died. So I feel like I'm a living, you know, walking dead. But I'm still positive because I want to make cool stuff. My big goal is, besides blacksmithing, I want to be able to make whatever the hell I want in my crazy head, because I grew up watching Mythbusters and how it's made. So, you know, I got ideas. I want to make like a, you know, a catapult and trebuchet that throws some weird stuff, and I got tons of ideas. So make sure you guys subscribe, because you might see some of that stuff, because I can combine my love for blacksmithing and make some cool stuff. And also, if any of you guys are watching that bought some of my products at the Broomfield, Hurtonsfield Flea Market, thank you guys so much. I will be going there next year. Hopefully I might be able to demonstrate. But yeah. So this still has some flat spots, but we'll be able to go over here to the other side. As my dad mentioned, we're going to turn the power off. It's always, don't want to do that. Tighten. These have an interesting choice of chuck. But I'm going to show you guys. I'll bring you guys over here. So I'm still new with camera work. But so we got the work over here. This is for the most part round. Like there's a little couple of flat spots, but it's not too bad. So now we're going to come over here. Well, we got to move the sled. The nice thing with these old Craftsmans, even though some of the parts are kind of a pain to find, is this is around too, but it's got a keyway, so this way this thing doesn't rotate and flop around. So we're going to get this close. We're going to make sure we don't have it too close to the, come on. Come on. There we go. Yeah, that way we only want to be able to go to the edge here, so we're going to tighten this down. So the reason why the gouge is nice is you have some variance. So you have a slight radius, so you can see you got a radius. So you could start flat on, or you can start at an angle and you can kind of use like the little bit, kind of looks like a corner on the radius, and you can kind of use that. Now, when you're using a wood lathe, I'm still new with this, but I'm very not tactical. Get shot, no. Tactile learner. That could be ADHD, autism, brain damage, I don't know. But the great thing when you have a wood lathe that has a proper tool rest is you find here, so I can see how it stops right there. So you can go back. So when you start spinning this, you hold your hand here. You don't have to grip it super hard, but you just hold it here, and you let your hand, the meat of your hand, rest against the tool rest, and it'll go back and forth, and you won't really have any extra depth cutting into it unless you flex your hand or you take your opposite hand and you push the tool in. You loosen your grip here, and you can see I'm pushing the tool in. So that's how you can control. That's how I was able to get this side fairly even with the dimensions. Dementia. Yeah, you can tell I got ADHD. So we're going to turn the machine back on. So it's got this switch here, which is what the moment foot switch plugs into. So now it's on, but now we have the foot switch. And this is just a little Wen foot switch. It's called a moment foot switch because the moment you press it, it lets power through. So we're going to start here. We want to just barely be touching. So we're going to hold here. And get a good stance. Always make sure you have eye protection, and if you have long sleeves on because it's kind of cool out, just make sure you have everything buttoned up. So turn this off real quick. I do want this a little bit closer so I have more confidence with this. I gotta angle it so it's more square. I just want to make sure I don't have my hand. I got big palms. I got like Rick Roth palms. You just want to make sure that you got enough material for the tool rest so that you can get good control. Obviously, be careful near the chuck. Now, I am not left-handed. I am right-handed, so this will be interesting to see. So I have my left hand controlling the depth of cut, which I'm not used to. And I got my right hand holding the tooling, so I'm going to turn the machine back on. See, you got the button. Oh, come on. Give me a second. Oh, there we go. It was just... Especially when you have square corners, you don't want to feed too much into it. You just want to have little chips here and there. And the great thing about having the moment foot switch is if you have an emergency, you just take your foot off and the machine turns off. That way, if this is starting to flop out of the rest and hit you, or this thing explodes on you, which it shouldn't because it's made out of good stuff. But foot switch, that was one of the best things I learned from Keith, which I am going to try to interview him because he's a cool old dude. Was a plumber for 40 years, and then he fell in love with wood turning, and he makes really nice wood bowls. So I want to try to do a little documentary kind of interview with him. So I'm pushing with my left hand until we get contact. Now if you rotate, so I'm going to turn this way. You see, because this tool has a radius, you can lead with the cutting edge the corner. You can push into stuff, but usually you want to pull just because it's just a more natural, you have more control and less likely to have stuff. You're less likely to jam the tool into the work, but you just have to be careful. And for people with ADHD or the autism, wood turning, because it's so, you get to physically feel things happen, like the cutting, you get to see the results. It's like Subway Surfers, but you actually get to make shit that can be functional and, you know, maybe you can sell and make money. Eventually I want to try to get like the tooling so I could do like pen blanks and stuff, because I could forge, like, I got a little old wood metal lathe. I'd be able to like make like the you know, once I get the power hammer made, I'd be able to make like Damascus pens and stuff with the wood. Got a little too close, but that's why we had this little mark here so we don't mess things up. Really warm, so it's nice. My dad did a good job rehoning and sharpening these. So we're getting there. Make sure you guys like the live stream and subscribe. We're working on making some more cool stuff for Christmas and holidays, but also teaching you guys just like how I went from being a beginner. I'm still considered a beginner because I'm still learning, but for blacksmithing, woodworking, and other stuff, because, you know, blacksmithing is the main thing that I want to get good at, but woodworking, I basically want to be able to make whatever I want to make. So, because I grew up watching Mythbusters and how it's made. I'm gonna just flip you guys around because I want to do more with my right hand, well, left hand and right hand. Now, one of the things you won't be able to know until you sorry, I didn't realize I was not showing stuff. One of the surprising things I learned with woodworking, so the tool luckily doesn't get too warm, but the wood shavings themselves, as they're turning, they're getting cut off or torn off. If the tool is sharp enough, it'll be do more cutting than tearing. They can burn your hand. I worked some green wood. That's a thing. This is luckily some nice dry wood. But if you turn green wood, besides it being a different, it'll shrink up and the dimensions will be different. It gets hot. A lot of the heat goes into that. Just like if you ever watch when they're turning metal, using a metal lathe, and you see the chips are like blue. Well, that's because those chips, it takes energy to peel and cut that off, and a lot of that energy is put into the small chip, and that stuff gets hot along with the bit and everything. So. Reposition myself. Now, obviously, the stock that I'm using is rather large for making wizard wands, but I got this with the lathe. Thank you. I forgot your name, the guy that sold me the lathe. But I'm learning. I'd rather start with bigger stock so I get the feel for the machine. I just gotta wipe my glasses because I can't see, they're fogged up. But with a different wood, my dad had no experience with the wood lathe, but he made this really nice thing. This was the Bradford pear that we prepared. This thing isn't fully dry, it's still wet. This is a small branch piece. So if this was still wet, that definitely means that the big stuff is still not dry. But came out pretty good. Like the wood itself has some, Bradford pear has some issues where it does likes to gouge out stuff, but Dad had fun time turning the wood. So now that we got the left side around the other side, we're just going to turn the machine off. We're going to slide our guide. Because I can see there's just a little bit of wobble because when I had to tighten the chuck, I kind of went the wrong way. But this opens up the realm of possibilities. I'll be able to soon be able to make wood turning tools because I can forge the steel bits, and then we'll be able to turn handles for this. And that's one of the things, like if you learn as much stuff as you can, you know, your first things are not going to be your best because you're learning, you know, you're not born a master, you know, making stuff. And don't be afraid of failure. You don't learn by not failing, so. Oh, gotta turn the machine on. I just realized our table is a little bit got loose. That's why now we got some wobble. So we're not actually turning it square. We gotta tighten this down. That's also loose. There we go. Now we can fix that. Is that too loud for you, man?
Listen, before you come in, can you put the trash bag
Yeah.
outside?
Do you hear that in your room, or is it not too loud?
Can't hear it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to make my, this is some cherry, I'm just trying to make some like wizard wands.
Yeah, just make sure.
Yeah, this will get vacuumed up, so, and everything will be unplugged.
Oh, okay, as long as it's unplugged.
Yeah. Safety stuff. You want to make sure you're safe. So we're finally nice and round. Just doing a little touch up on the gouging tool. Just got an inexpensive diamond stone to do that. Just have me a sip of beer and a sip of water. And the next thing that I learned, I don't know if it's all wood, but certain woods that you do wood turning, if you got hamsters or gerbils, you can use the wood shavings if they're safe for them. Oh. still learning how to make things more enjoyable. But the good thing is once we get the power hammer made, we'll be able to have the wood stove back in. And we'll be able to forge more stuff, and with the wood stove, we'll be able to burn all these extra shavings. How you guys doing? Too close to that. Luckily the tool's fine. Right now I'm just trying something. Trying to see if I can use this to like now I want to see if I can do this. Because I'm still learning how to use this and trying to see if I can find ways to make things faster. This will work, small gouge. And it's a little bit loud for my liking, so I'm gonna put some. Yeah, I'm just gonna take this off. Kind of warmed up. Yeah, I don't want the sleeves catching it. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. I'm still learning. But I think this method can work. I can use the little, I don't know the name of this tool, but it's got a very sharp edge. And that way I can kind of cut partially to depth. And it'll kind of help speed up removing material. Actually, I want to see what the big one does. How you guys doing? Thank you guys for joining. Learning how to use the wood lathe, trying to make some wizard wands. Harry Potter, you're a wizard. Fuck, I'm in the wrong movie. Try the small one. I think the small one's a little bit sharper. How you guys doing? How you doing, Michael? How you doing, William? How you doing, Bruce? Trying to make some wizard wands. It's my first time. bunch cutting, trying to get the thickness down. Wish we could get closer. It appears we cannot. I just have to be careful. Alright, get that up in. Alright, I'm just gonna take my, I want to sharpen this on the, so this luckily the Mara braid. had to lose my mom in order to be able to get the freaking narrow braid, but that's why I haven't get them. Continue on. So I got big hands. So if you guys are wondering, I just have big stock size because it's what I got. When I'm going to be actually making more wizard wands to sell on my Etsy, I'll get the proper smaller size so that way it doesn't take forever to actually make something that looks like a wand. got big hands, so it's kind of hard to figure out. But it's my first time making a wand, so. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna be trying to live stream on my TikTok, DG Undead Forge TikTok. Just look me up. I'm gonna be live streaming there. So I don't want this. I don't want to make this any thinner because I want to be able to work the meat off of this side. So I want to try to get it similar. That way, like I know I'd be able to, have these chucked up separately, but I want to have as much support as possible. So. Thank you guys. Make sure to be safe, have fun, wear your proper PPE, and make some cool stuff. I'll see you next stream. I'll probably stream tomorrow.